This week on Lead One, Leading with Vision. Welcome to the Lead One podcast, where our mission is to lead leaders through leadership. The goal is to get 1% better every day. Let's see what Drew and the guys have to say. Welcome back to Lead One. This is Brandon. It's just me and Franz here today.
Good morning.
Drew and Sam are at home office, so they're missing today. So we're going to hold it down. We're going to hold down the fort today. We actually have a wonderful guest today. We got Joy Fairell with us. She's a attorney that has a firm in Tucker, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia area. She's leading a group of prestigious women in her firm. How you doing, Joy?
I'm doing great. How are you guys this morning?
I'm doing good. When I was reaching out to Joy, I was trying to get a conversation with her on the podcast about leading, women, and because we haven't had that conversation. But in the midst of our, me vetting Joy, she said that her superpower was being a visionary. And we also haven't had a conversation about how important vision is, how important the mission is for you to have, for you to have a vision and have a mission for you to lead a certain group. So I definitely wanted to have that conversation.
Definitely.
So Joy, tell us a little bit about your story and tell us, how'd you build your firm?
Yeah, sure. So I have been an attorney now. This is my 11th year that I'm currently in. I'm very vision-led, this fueled by my spiritual beliefs. So I try to operate in wisdom when I do certain things and just try to be spirit-led when I do things. So from undergrad, probably about my junior year, I was undecided in what I was going to be doing for my career. Really went into deep prayer about it. One day I felt like I got a very clear answer, and that was to go into law. And I really disagreed with that. I did not want to be a lawyer. I could not even fathom being a lawyer, going to law school and doing all those things, but the mission was clear. So in obedience, I started following that path, which some would consider late. Most people who want to be lawyers want to be lawyers from a very young age or at latest high school. And I was in my junior year, scramble to get ready to start the law school process. And as with many things I'll probably say today, you have to lay out a plan and take small steps to reach that vision. So I had to lay out a plan of, how do you get in law school and what does that look like? And when I realized the school I went to didn't have any resources for minority students, I helped develop one of the first undergraduate programs for the National Black Law Student Association, which was focused on helping Black students in particular get the resources they needed to go to law school. Long story short, I ended up getting admitted into law school at my top choice. And then I went to law school and finished law school. And once I finished law school, I came out. I had worked for a number of places during school. And I had a job when I came out. And I was so dissatisfied. And I was just really like, Lord, this cannot be what the mission that you sent me on. Something's not right. But in all things, he's preparing us for what's bigger. And I ended up leaving my job 1 year out of law school, which everyone advised against. But again, I was on a mission to have something greater. And so I started my firm 1 year out with just me in a shared office that was about, I think it was 90 square feet, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I own my building, and there's 12 of us on my staff right now. So we've grown, and we're still growing. I know that when I look back 10 years from now, this will be very different from where we will be because I'm still playing out the mission.
So, Joy, quick question. I guess, for the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
What your practice?
Mm-hmm.
Your main practice is divorce, child custody, child support, family.
Right. So we actually have two sides of my practice. That's one side is the family law, divorce, custody, child support. And then the other side is our personal injury
Okay.
practice, and that is auto accidents, slip and falls, and even down to the decision to diversify the practice is all part of the vision as well, and kind of being strategic with that.
So when obviously being able to choose your practice and the direction you took your business in, um, out of all the different
Mm-hmm.
areas of law, why those two areas in particular? Is that something that sits near
Um,
and dear to you, or is it just this was the most lucrative and the most efficient way of helping people?
well, I kind of fell into family law. It was something I did a little bit at the firm I was at. I had no intention to do family law. I intended to do criminal law when I went through law school, but I really disliked that practice area. So it's something I kind of fell into and I became passionate about over time. Family law is a billable practice area, and you basically bill by the hour, to make the money. So the other side of the practice is personal injury, which is contingency fee. And so we recover a percentage of what we recover for our client. And so the practice model is, half hourly and then half contingent to diversify the revenue.
Okay, interesting. So I guess for starters, how important is your personal is the personal vision as it relates to the growth of the business?
It's everything, honestly. In many ways, my personal life and my professional life merge so much because I am the founding partner and the managing partner of my firm. It is a extension of who I am as a person. And so everything kind of just walks together in one way or another. So I would say my personal vision and my professional vision are almost identical in many ways. At least the goals are identical.
Oh yeah, that's what's the difference between like having a dream and having a vision? Well, like what do you think the difference is between both of them?
It's a big difference. A dream, yeah, funny because I actually wrote my law school admissions essay on the concept of dreams. And it was at that time I had made it an acronym. I think it was determined, relentless, exceptional. No, determined, relentless, and exceptional. Motivated for success. I don't know. Some things that I had laid out that dreams meant because I'm also a Pisces, and so Pisces are dreamers, and I'm a big, big dreamer. But what I learned about dreams, that dreams are just dreams with no plan
Yeah.
of action. They're just, oh man, that sounds great. Oh, that's lovely. Vision is the carrying out of a dream, the
Mm.
plan of a dream. So I always say, and I apply this concept to every area of my life when it comes to you have to have vision in everything. So you plan, you prepare, and then you execute. And so a dream, you just see it, but you can see it all day. But if you don't take those next steps, those three steps to plan, prepare, and execute, the dream always stays a dream. It always seems too overwhelming to accomplish because you haven't laid out the vision or how it is you're going to accomplish the dream. And so they're very different. Everybody dreams, literally everybody.
Yeah.
But there's only a select few who actually have what it takes to carry out a dream through vision.
So this is a question that I've asked Brandon and Sam and Drew over time, and it's a conversation that it's always sits in the back of my head, which is you have your dream, and you
Mm-hmm.
obviously are successful and you were able to create this firm, and obviously you have your employees. How do you get your employees to buy into your vision as it being your dream?
Well, you have to create a culture. a place where people want to be, where people are excited to be, a place where people feel important to be there. If you look at a lot of other law firms, a lot of firms don't use their faces in their marketing or on their website or anything like that. And I was actually advised against that as well. But one of the visions for my firm, or visions for my firm then and now, is to always be a modern firm that's innovative and staying current. And so I didn't want to tie into the old antiquated ways of doing law. And so one of the ways that I started doing that is by putting out the image and the perception you wanted to put out. So I started marketing with my face when it was just me. So I needed people to know that, hey, you're hiring a Black woman, okay? Because early in my career, I just used my initials, J.R. Fairell, which J.R. looks like junior, but I did that intentionally because women are so discriminated against in a lot of professional industries, but especially legal industries. There was a time where, and even now, sometimes people think men are better attorneys. So I wanted to give off the impression, at least if I got them in the door, I could sell them. So I used J.R. Fairell. So as I started building my team, I wanted the people who came to work for me to know that I want you, you're valuable, and I'm going to put your face up here too. And so if you look at any of my marketing, you'll see me posting a lot of my staff, their pictures, and, the paralegals, the assistants, the lawyers, partners, whatever. Everybody is equally important, and nobody feels like they're nobody. Everybody knows that they're important. I think that's important as you build a culture, because it makes them want to be here and it makes them want to work hard for you because you value them. They're just not somebody you sweep and put in the back room. You put them front and center. You give them, perks and benefits. One thing, the culture that I've created for my firm, which is also very different from other firms, is number one, we're all women. And so women are a minority hire in the industry. Well, here I want them to know we want you, okay? And we understand what most women are going through, which is motherhood. And then my office is only open from 9 to 4. A lot of firms are open from like 8 to 6. They also have much higher billing requirements on their staff. My staff they do substantially less. The requirements are substantially less, but the pay is the same for what they're required to do to produce. Because I want my staff to be able to leave at 4 o'clock and pick their kids up or get their kids to after school activities and do whatever they need to do. Also, in our new building, I put in a kids room, especially in the pandemic. Just bring your kid to work. They have the desk in there, the computers and TVs, whatever they need to be comfortable so that you can feel safe to your job and not feel like you're about to get fired because you have to tend to your motherly duties. I put a gym in the new building because women in particular always want to work out, but they never have time. So you can work out while you're at work before you leave or on your lunch break or come in early, whatever you need to do. And so you build this culture of love and value. And when you do that and you make them feel that, they're more likely than not to really into your and back you up on it.
I find it to be very interesting because it almost sounds like you're running a tech firm. That's very tech firm-esque, if you will, with the family first, the gym, and
well, that's because tech firms are modern, right?
Yeah.
Tech firms are known to be modern. Little startups are known to be modern. They have these models of like, we have coffee, and if you want to drink, you can drink, and it's just more of this laid back atmosphere.
Right.
And that is I'm trying to bring to the legal community, and that it don't have to be what it's always been. And that is my whole vision. Just because it's always been done that way doesn't mean it has to continue that way. Just because it's always been done that way doesn't mean right way.
Yeah, because
if you have to transform, you have to change.
Yeah, because if you think about just in general, the history of law firms. You're there. You basically you live in your office, or if unless you're in a courtroom. So
Hmm.
it's one of those things where um, you find that it is a predominantly male industry because most women are thinking about
Hmm.
family first. So
Right.
they tend to shy away from jobs that's going to require 100% of their life, and especially it's very difficult for them to be able to balance a work life situation. So the way you've set it up, I commend you. I've never heard any law firm that that takes on this type of a business model, if you will, and I see nothing but success in your future as far as you know uh, pushing this new agenda forward. And quite honestly, this kind of segues into the next question, which is the COVID and the pandemic.
Yeah, because we definitely when COVID hit, we our vision got a lot bigger. Here because
Hmm.
we were typically go into your home, sit under the table, not sit under the table, but legs under the table,
Yeah.
discuss options and do our job in that way. When COVID hit, it gave us the ability to go virtual, and
Yeah.
with that ability, it gave our vision for what we got going on here expanded 10x. you know how did COVID
Hmm.
affect your vision for your law firm? Did you have to make any adjustments, or what was the effects of the pandemic?
Yes. I had to make a lot of adjustments. Um, as a person who's a people person, and our culture that we developed, we're a people culture. So we love each other. We love coming to work and talking every day. And, we have a lot of, sister girls out in the hallways, and then, we get to work. And so, number one, that was hard in separating that, because now we're losing our connection. And then I got really panicked at first. I'm like, oh my God, like, how am I going to keep these people paid? The world is scared. They're not consuming. I need to prayer about down for about 2 weeks. Like, Lord, what am I going to do? Am I going to just like sit out and ride this thing? And then the word pivot came to me. I got to pivot. And so I was like, okay, we're going to pivot. We're going to take this thing online. And so every single day for the first several months of the pandemic, and I do mean every day, I was live on social media, talking, interacting with people. Everybody's home, everybody got nothing to do. I'm just like, laying the seed, laying the seed, laying the seed, laying the seed, just every day, answering 3 questions to people online, just engaging, interacting, because nobody was coming in anymore. And then we, launched off, hey, we're still doing business. We're doing everything virtual. So beforehand, you have to come to the office and do all this. Everything went virtual. The files went virtual. We went paperless. Consults are on Zoom. They were more efficient. I can move them in and out a lot quicker. When you come into the office, you have to do like, oh, would you like any coffee? Would you like a donut? Okay, but when you get on Zoom, you just jump right into it. It's recording. You can save that stuff to the file. Just more efficient. And so we got a whole lot more efficient when we went virtual. We're actually able to do a lot more business. We put up record numbers during the pandemic because as I was out there planting seeds, just reminding people, letting them know this is what we do. People were trapped in the house with their spouses they had been running from for years, excuses to get away from them. I go to work, I go on business trips, and all that stuff got shut down. So the divorce cases skyrocketed. And then we ran into custody cases skyrocketing because parents were using COVID as a reason to not allow the other parent to see the children. And so those
Wow.
skyrocketed, and we were right there to catch them. Child support became the issue. So people had lost their job. People were laid off. They couldn't pay the child support. It just skyrocketed. So I was right there to catch every single case because we made the pivot. Some firms that I know, they were just like, okay, we're closed until further notice. No way. I told my staff, I'm not leaving none of y'all through this. None of y'all.
Mm.
And we grew in the pandemic.
Oh
We grew.
wow.
I don't even know how many I added, but it was a lot. But we grew. I was hiring in 2020. I think I hired 2 or 3 people in 2020.
That's interesting.
And then courts went virtual too.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I do remember that. Yeah, his courts were closed as well. So do you find the
hmm
need for the brick and mortar any longer, being that the world has changed and everything is virtual? Now with law firms, it's all about having that big
hmm
prestigious office, so you can kind of walk your clients in and kind of give them the dog and pony show to make them know that, hey,
We're
we're
legit.
right,
we're legit, we're your
Yeah.
guy.
right. So this is weird. Okay, so I think this is the one place I stand that's probably not as modern as maybe your techie places, but it's because of my culture. Okay, I know my culture. And my culture is a team. My culture is engaging each other in the hallways and having a good time and being bonded. And what I lost in the pandemic was my culture because my team was separated. We weren't seeing each other. We get on Zoom once a week and do a group meeting or something. We knew nothing about what was going on in people's lives, their kids. I hated it. That's not who we are. We're not this workhorse firm where you just go and do the work and we don't care about who you are as a person. I need to see you. And so in the middle of the pandemic, I bought $1 million building. Who does that when you know you can be virtual? And it was a hard choice. My lease was ending at my old place. This opportunity came available for another place right down the street. It was a competitor law firm. They were already similar practice areas, so it was built out pretty good. I was like, well, I now know I don't need an office. Like, I can be virtual. Everybody can be virtual. But I had to weigh the odds and weigh the cost of what I was losing in my culture. And again, culture and vision go hand in hand. And I was not willing to lose my culture for the sake of saying, hey, we can work at home, because I didn't like it. And I did, I bought the building. I did require staff to start coming back to work sometime this year. I want to say maybe May or something, May or June of 2021. And some people liked it, and some people had a hard time adjusting. And some people wanted to, stick to working from home. And I lost those staff members because I wasn't willing to say, hey, yeah, you can work from home. Because, from a boss's perspective, I understand why you want to work from home, but I'm looking at your productivity. I'm looking at how you're showing up. Your productivity isn't where it should be or it could be. We're getting lazy with our self-imaging, and you're just not in the role. And so I required my staff to come back, and I did lose quite a bit because people are tied to working from home now. But if you're gonna work for my firm, you're gonna buy into my culture, and my culture is a team, and you have to come to work.
Yeah, I
So
was.
for me, I need the building. I need the building because it's a part of my culture.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was talking to the missus this morning. Literally, we were having this exact same conversation where her mother works for CUNY, and it's in New York City, and they require their staff to be present. But what they did was they extended the hours from an 8-hour day to a 10-hour day to give them one day off. And I was saying to her, I mean, you really just took away the family component of it, because after doing 10 hours or 11 hours in an office, what do I really have to give back to my family when I get home?
Yeah.
And then that one day,
Right.
that additional one day that you've granted me, so that day now is a day of me, is my day for just trying to recouping, right?
Right.
So I still
Yeah.
have nothing to give to the family. So
Right.
this work-life balance that we find ourselves in because of this culture of COVID has changed, and has changed so much that we have to be fluid. And it's interesting to hear
Yeah.
how you are kind of leaning into the office, as far as getting your staff into the office.
That reminds me of how we do here. When we're recruiting, it seems like it's a bunch of recruits that can I work from home? Can I work from home? And of course you can work from home, but why would you want to work from home when you're starting a new career? You know what I mean? You would want to be in the office where people are actually doing the job. You know what I mean? Instead of
you can learn from each other and grow.
And we could keep each other on fire. You know what I mean? Especially in the career that we're in. Where there's ups and downs. Production goes up and down. But you need your neighbor to be there to let you know that it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? That's just the nature of the beast. But yeah, so we got a culture here that come into
because iron sharpens iron.
Exactly.
So you need to see that. You need to see that somebody else is grinding, because you'll be thinking you're doing something. Really, you're not.
So we had one more question for you. For someone that doesn't have a vision, doesn't have a culture, what are some practical steps that you can give them to create one?
Well, the first thing you got to know is you got to have a vision. It's not going to be optional for anything you're trying to scale. So figure out, so you're at point A now, so figure out what your point Z is on your plan. So
you said your point
Z, for example, so A to Z. So you're at A and we need to get to Z. And that's a very big picture. And so you need to figure out, how do I get there? Well, you get there by going to B first, and then C, and then D, and then E. And so we have to really make it small steps. And I think that's why so many people get discouraged when it comes to actually living out a vision. Again, they fail to plan, prepare, and execute. So you got to make a plan for how you're going to get there. So for me, I want to have a modern law firm that's predominantly minority women and have a reputation of excellence. Our motto is excellence is our standard. And so, okay, that sounds great. But what makes one excellent, right? How are you gonna grow to be the biggest? Like, what's the rate you're gonna hire? When you hire, what are you gonna pay? What do they have to produce? So you have to figure out all those little nuances. Those are very, very little steps. What is excellence? Excellence is creating systems and protocols and standards that your staff is going to follow to put out to the client. And so you map this thing out and you take baby steps and you just do it one thing at a time, one thing at a time. And you have to understand, like, I'm 11 years in this. My vision ain't nowhere near done.
Wow.
I'm looking down the line, 10, 15 more years. I'm talking about empires.
That's a good question. I was going to ask you. I know you're here in Georgia. Where's your next state or city, or rather, what's your next state as far as expansion?
So, I'm not going to be expanding.
You're not.
Georgia, Atlanta in particular. Nope. I think from my research of different companies, a lot of times companies try to expand to look bigger than they are. They may have an office in New York, office here, but have one attorney there, but you're paying rent and all these other things unnecessarily to have this bigger scope. I like a condensed model. Atlanta is a major hub. Everybody want to come to Atlanta. There's so many cases in Atlanta. I got so many cases right now, it's hard to keep up with them.
Yeah.
And so there's no need for me to expand. Like when I moved to Michigan for a few years with my husband, I was going to launch there had we been there long term and have an Michigan office and an Atlanta office. But if it doesn't serve me, I'm not putting it in another state. Why would I deal with now, insurance up there, a building up there, payroll taxes in another state? I don't see the point of having that. People have to always understand bigger is not better, always, right? It comes down to how do you maximize your profits? Your revenue means nothing if your profits are in the negative. And so when you jump in and add all these additional businesses, I think at one point when Zaxby's came out the gate, they opened up all these restaurants and then they all failed because they grew too fast.
Right.
And so it's important not to grow too fast and understand that this is a very long process and results do not come overnight. When I started my firm, my vision wasn't, I was just like, man, if I can make 6 figures, that's good. I'm talking about as a firm, not even as a person, but like if I can do 6 figures, that'll be awesome. like, man, that'll be the life. And now I'm at the point where I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get to 8 figures.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because you scale those things, like, okay, what do we do? How do we get there? What does that look like? But if I would have, what I know is that what I have today on year 11, I could not have handled on year 1, year 2, or year 3. It's 4, 5, none of it. I am right where I'm supposed to be. What I have now, I could not have handled because I didn't have the things in place. I didn't have the foundation. I didn't have the system. I didn't have the plans. I didn't have the staff. I didn't have the money. You keep going on, and you'll realize that you need to be at peace where you are, but you need to be making movements to the next level. And you can't start a business or start a plan and expect success overnight. It is a everyday effort of showing up and being consistent. Same in every area of your life. If it's your fitness or your work, you have to show up every day. From the very first day I came to work for myself, I woke up to an alarm clock at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I got fully dressed, stockings, heels, and pearls and all. And I came to work and I had 0 clients. 0. But I showed up every single day. I don't live that entrepreneur life where I'm like, oh, I'm on the beach, I'm having a good time. I grind every day and I show up every day to push this business in a direction so that in 10 years or 20 years from now, I am talking about $1 billion company. Absolutely, without hesitation. That is the kind of work you want to put in. And so it always goes back to plan, prepare, and execute. And sometimes you have to repeat that over in each phase. So in phase A, plan, prepare, execute. Phase B, plan, prepare, execute, because you're taking it step by step. And the best example I give is like, what does it mean to plan, prepare, and execute? Well, Thanksgiving is coming up, right? Thanksgiving is next week.
Mm-hmm.
If you're cooking, so we just don't pull up on Thanksgiving and food is on the table, right? Absolutely not. Everybody who's cooking for Thanksgiving should know what they're cooking by now.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you got to have a plan. So when you make your plan, what are you doing? You check and see what I have. I'm writing out my grocery list. How many people coming? Are they going to bring something? How many servings I'm going to need? When do I need to buy the turkey? How big the turkey got to be? That's a plan, right? Figuring out of that. And then you prepare. When you're preparing, now I'm at Publix or Kroger or Whole Foods, and I'm buying my list. I'm checking off everything. I got my yams. I got my turkey. I got what I need to make my gravy. So that's the prepare. I'm preparing. And then you get home and you lay everything out, make sure you got everything. And then when you execute, the execution comes on Thursday, or if you really could start about Tuesday, so it's ready for Thursday. And so you start cooking everything. And then when your family comes to sit down at the table, it's because you executed.
Yeah.
But it don't happen overnight. It's the same analogy in your business. It's the same analogy in your fitness. It's the same analogy in your marriage. It's the same analogy in your parenting. Make a plan, prepare, execute on it, move to the next step, and do it again.
That was a word right there.
Amen to that. So, Joy, we're gonna let you go, but before we do, how can our listeners find you? What's your website? Where you're located? Leave them with a little gift, so you can use this as your marketing moment.
Absolutely. So, right line off La Vista Road, off 285. You can find us at fairellroy.com. That's F Frank AIRELL Roy ROY.com. Our phone number is 678-973-2803. You can call us. You can book online. Whatever it is you need to do. You can find us on Instagram at Fairell Firm, @Fairell Firm. And we're also on Facebook under the Fairell Firm as well.
All right. Thank you, Joy. Thank you for taking the time out to speak with us this morning. We greatly appreciate it. As usual,
You're welcome.
As usual, we are all here as leaders, trying to, leave everyone with a little token to to increase their productivity for the day. So
1% better.
1% better. That's our motto.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Small steps. There you go.
All right. Talk to you guys next week.
If you got 1% of value from this podcast, do us a favor. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell your friend, tell your coworker. Until we meet again. Lead one.